But if you look at Timni, the whole idea of Kanta, the kind of spiritual retreat where the chief them for supposed for go on before they get a mesem, which is we give them that aura of mystical power. The idea of Kanta na in a kind of mythic footer. So footer Jalon, na been place where a lot of groups them come out. Cam Salone, the Yalunka, in fact, Jalon, they name him after the Yalunka. Futa Jalon, they spell and Jalonka. They were the original inhabitants of that. The Fula then can later move them commodity. Now I make na Guinea, you get a Landuma, then you get the Baga there. When I like Timmy cousin, boy go no more but the issue than this past me.
I'm laughing.
More. But the idea that some group are more indigenous than other group them is a false narrative. Because yes, Creole come, but Creole come like what, a century or two after the Mendede. And when the Mendede can't need them, it already reach here. So waiting and say then give Creole, now waiting other people then say we don't can grab before the Creole then come. It's just a question that we reach here before now, maybe 200 years before now, so we don't claim ownership. But the fact of the matter is that everybody come, with the exception of waiting most historians then conclude the Limbas, the Sherbros. And some people don't include the Kissi them to some extent because Kissi, the language, may not know the language then, but they say Kissi and Sherbros then get some similarity. And how an inland Kissi people can be related to a Sherbros coastal people, that's another issue altogether. So the idea of original inhabitants, I think, does make sense because Limbas and Sherbros, they don't get any history of migration, at least no recorded history of migration into Sierra Leone, whole no, but all the other group will come. You look at Mende, there was no such thing as a Mende identity. Now, offshoot of the Mani is them. Now, I make way people like they say, oh, we'll go Mali, we'll not see Mende. Yes, you not go see Mende in Mali because the Mali Empire was more expansive than present-day Mali. Right? It became all the way to Guinea. You look at plenty Mende. You look exactly. You look at them patrilineage there. Most of them they go back to Kankan, na Guinea. A lot of Mende ruling house there. Namadinka, Marabu they we can work for them chief there. They marry them picking there, and before you know it, they don't get line to the ruling family. So the idea we maybe they try for make is that we for move away from this idea that some of we more indigenous than others. We are all descendants of immigrants and settlers. And once we accept that, we go stop for exclude others then. And I remember why they grew up in a Salone. I didn't have boss. That I was a kid. I was in boarding school. I didn't have boss. I've been go holiday to me, mama and Kenema. They come back free time. Then they check for Fulaman, they way not to Salone citizen. And somebody look me no more. He said, let me come on at the boss. Me not Fulaman. I have no Fula identity.
And you're not
Fula. So right there, then they exclude you because of your ethnicity. And not only, in fact, I run into one Fula Senegal, where so convincing me not Fula. After I don't convince her, say me not to Fula, and I say, you know what? Now one thing advice I get for you. Any side you do, where Fula man get trouble, he say run with them. He said because they go mistake. So that's some of the problem they will encounter. Excluding others just because we don't stereotype them as the other. And what you therefore realize about Fula, Madinka, and particularly two group they may be so also, to a certain extent, but particularly Fula and Madinka, these are multinational identities. We stretch across West Africa. So you get Fulaman
as Cameroon,
as Sierra Leonean, as Fulaman Guinean, as Fulaman Liberian. They stretch all over. So they can begin reduce citizenship to say this group not indigenous, that group they not indigenous. That's a false narrative, and that's really the point. They try for make because you see Creole and Mende identity. There are other identity there other than Limba and Sherbros where they form na Salone. You go say that their identity be already formed before they reach Salone. You know, Fula, Koranko, Yalunka, their identity then they be not formed before they reach Salone. But Mende, na Salone then form that identity they beginning in Liberia because they come through Liberia. Now when they reach Salone, they absorb other group them now through that process they. If you read Arthur Abraham and others, now through that process the Mende then begin form that identity they through absorption. They absorb some of the people the way they conquer. Now you find out local and today the language and Mende they're very, very similar. You'll get a lot of linguistic affinities, you know, among them. But I left boy and others for talk about this, you know. But just my preliminary point is that we're a nation of settlers and immigrants. All we people there now come, then come. With the exception of Libaden because they don't know how they come, and Sherbros they don't know how they come. But all the other one there, we know how they come. So this idea as somebody who is more Sierra Leonean than other, that's a very, very bogus claim.